Okay, I wanted to show how I work on my artwork and inking for my drawings in Adobe Illustrator. What I do, you may have seen the previous video where I drew the picture of my character Cope. Once that stage is done and I'm satisfied with the artwork, I then scan it and import it into Adobe Illustrator, which is my second step. This is where I do all the inking. I hate the inking process, be it by hand with a pen or digitally. The final step is bringing this drawing, once it's all inked, into Photoshop. And that's when it finally gets fun again. But this is one of the most tedious and annoying steps. Now, this is not a how-to Illustrator video. I'm no expert in Illustrator. I'm brand new to it still. I pretty much just know how to use the pen tool to ink, and that's pretty much all I use it for. So anyways, I've got a drawing here of Owen, and I'm trying to ink his coat, and I've just chose the pen tool, and I've got everything set to black again. I'm not going to explain how, but I do want to show the process of why it takes a while. So I pick a point to start, which was there. I don't know if you can see that. And then I choose a second point. You kind of just feel for it. And you gotta hold the mouse button down after you click it. If you let go, it messes things up. And I make a lot of those mistakes, and you just pull and then let go. Now the thing is, after that, you can't just make another line because it does stupid things like this. And that's not what I want to do, so delete that. I have to click this point and then pick another point. That way it's anchored and doesn't just go off and do its own thing. Again, this is not a tutorial. I don't know why it does that and why I have to click here every time. But anyways, I go through, and I know some people have said that Illustrator is not very good because the lines come out too perfect and too curved or something like that. And at first I noticed that, and my artwork, the way I draw it, is very unique. My lines tend to have a lot of sudden little turns. I don't see too many at the moment here, but you can't just make a perfect curve. So what I do is I take little tiny steps with the pen and trace it exactly the way I drew it by hand, and it turns out really, really nice once it's done. So I'm just going to go through and try to finish inking this part. Okay, like here's a good example. This might look like a straight line, but it's not. There's a tiny bit of a curve, so I just pull a little bit, anchor it, and here there's a tiny, tiny curve. This is what makes my art unique, and so I just add another, very minuscule, you can barely tell. I'm zoomed at 600% here. If I was even in closer, you could tell even more. See, that's too straight, I don't like that, so I undo it. And give it a little bit of a curve inward. Anchor it. And then to start a new line, I just take one of these arrows and click anywhere in the white and go back to my pen tool. So now, this point here on this coat, see, that's too straight. It would have missed this little bump here had I gone. So I gotta go here instead. I have budgie sound effects on my computer. Whenever a program opens, it makes a budgie chirp, as if I don't have enough budgies chirping in the house. And then sometimes I have to decide, so my original pencil line here went curving outwards and then downwards. But I think I'm going to change that. I think I'm going to have it curved this way instead of following my own lines. And then curve this one that way. And have a look, I like that. This one I will have it curve a little nicer. Sometimes when I draw my pencil lines, they're just kind of like guidelines for my inking, and then I do the real detail. Okay, so that's done. Let me pull out so you all can see what this is that I'm working on. So I have most of his upper body done in this sword slash that he's doing. And eventually you can see how this can take quite a long time. I'll finish all this up, bring up one of my finished drawings so you can see what those are like. And I don't have any oh, I put them in last year's folder. Let's see, Budgie Sketch, Cope Fallen. Oh, that was a big one. Let's see. Let's do Solon's Office. That one was interesting. Might take a while to open if I remember. It's not so bad. Yeah, you can see that in this one, it's neat that it's one of those things where me turn off my line work, and you can see how clean it is afterwards. Once this drawing like this is finished, I'll import all these lines into Photoshop. And that's, don't save anything because this one's done. Pretty much it for how I ink my artwork. It's actually more work than the way I used to do it by hand, but I just think it looks nicer, and it's worth all the work and the complaining, though it does take me much, much longer to finish.